Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Mental Health Awakening. And in today's episode, me and Angela are joined by Demetria. And today's topic is mindset matters, recognizing how mindset shows up in mental health. So I'm really look forward to today's episode because it is a very important talk. So Angela, if you could do your introduction, and then we can move on to Demetria.
I'm Angela Jackson, licensed professional counselor with national certification in the state of Tennessee, USA, partnering with the UK. Glad to be here today with a longtime friend to talk about a very important topic. Definitely contributes to a mental health awakening, education, and overall wellness. I'm ready for her to enlighten us and share with us today. I'm excited.
Awesome. I'm Demetria Corlew. I'm a licensed professional counselor with the mental health service provider designation. I'm also the clinical director for an alcohol and drug reentry program as well. I am a therapist, a wife, a mom. I also have two fur babies, Hannah Grace and Cookie, whom I love dearly. And I am probably bubbling over a little bit more than I should be to talk about this topic, but it's so needed because everybody has it. And so it's equally important to recognize it within ourselves so that we can be able to make positive changes to move forward.
Thank you, Demetria. Thank you, Demetria. We are not going to delay. Your topic, mindset matters. We want you to lead us into that. And we're ready.
Awesome. So first off, let's just address from the very beginning, what is a mindset? Because I feel like we hear that word, but sometimes we don't necessarily know exactly kind of what is that. So our mindset governs how we think, feel, or act in any given situation. How we think, feel, or act in any given situation. And depending upon various factors like how you were raised or different situations that a person may have been in, how we react to certain things may be a bit different than how somebody else would react. And I think just even relating that to current events now, we can think about the Oscars, right? Oh my goodness,
Yes.
That has been such a topic, about how Will Smith, slapped Chris Rock on national and international television. But wow, we had two different mindsets that we were looking at in various factors and situations on both ends. And so needless to say, we kind of seen that firsthand on how that can govern how we think, feel, and act in any given situation.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, I completely agree because like you kind of try and look at it from different people's point of views, don't you? And like the whole situation. Because I think only a few days ago, it might have been yesterday that he Will Smith now banned from the Oscars, I think, for 10 years now. So
That's right.
So yeah, like everyone has a matter of different opinions, and that's why like this topic is really good because like you say, it is to understand it, isn't it? It can be hard to understand mindset as a whole.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I'm so glad that you took the time to define and characterize what mindset is, because you're right. We hear mindset a lot. We hear mindset, and it can be overused, right?
Mm-hmm.
So many different situations, so many different circumstances, marketing, all of this different stuff. But a lot of times it's hard for people to identify their belief about a thing, their belief about life, and really they may not even characterize it as a full mindset around it. So I think that's important that to know what a mindset is and then what it affects. And that leads us into that sub part of your topic, is the recognizing how it affects mental health. Talk a little bit about that. How does the mindset affect mental health?
Great question. So if our mindset governs how we think, feel, or act or in any given situation, then that shows up in our mental health, because we all have that internal self-talk. And so however that talk is cycling within ourselves, that's how it's going to show up. I'll even use myself for an example. Like several years ago, just hitting on kind of like money mindset. Oh my goodness, like that, those skills were not something that I was taught growing up. So I already had a certain mindset about money, like, oh, I can't do this, or I can do this, but I have to do it this way. And so needless to say, I had a lot of unhealthy money practices. What I'm getting at. I mean, we all got something that we ain't had the best practices.
Yes.
And so that began to show up in my mindset, because then, oh my goodness, if my mindset about money is, well, I need to, buy what I want all the time, then of course I'm doing that. So then, okay, now I got a bill over here that I can't pay because I didn't gave that to Saks Fifth Avenue or somewhere else. And so then that creates stress, right? Because now you're trying to find a plan to take care of that. Then that creates anxiety as well. Sometimes if you have that thing stacking up on top of each other, then depression tries to, show up. And then before we know it, we're down a rabbit hole of emotions and feelings. And that shows up different ways within our mental health. We may start isolating, withdrawing, or we may, go to an extreme end and excessively overbuy, overspend, or whatever else that thing may be for someone else. And so we have to recognize our own mindsets, our own deficits, the places where we need to do a bit more work in, so that we don't have to necessarily battle the polar opposites of something. We know how to cope, and we know how to recognize it before it gets out of hand.
I like that. Great points. And oh goodness, when I can relate to what you were saying about the money mindset from how I was taught as a young adult, or how I was not taught, so there were things missing. There were things I had to figure out the hard way. And something that's interesting is that I had to do my taxes, get my tax return together. First year doing this as a business entity, and I was frazzled. I was nervous. I already have a mindset about money and about numbers. I walk in and I'm usually the person that says, I'm not a numbers person. I'm not a math person. And so I'm walking in to Jackson Hewitt, and I'm sitting down nervous. I told her, I'm a little bit nervous. I know I set this appointment. I'm not a numbers person, but I have to be now. And she's like, wait a minute. Why are you nervous? and so that is an example of how your mindset about a certain something, a life event, a circumstance, a situation, it does create a level of anxiety, and it shows up, all over the place, in your mind, in your body. I was nervous, I was sweating, I was over talking. And what really now is so important is that she asked me, what are you nervous about? She was calm. She took her time. She explained things to me. And I thought, wow, I've done it. Now I've passed that thing that I was once nervous about, anxious about, unsure about, a little bit confused. So I'm like, okay, I got it. I can do this better next time. So it takes some experience. It takes some education to pull you out of that cycle that you described. So, oh my goodness, I can relate all over the place.
Yeah, I agree, because it is important I think it's helpful as well if people repeat themselves or go through slower. It's more slower than doing it really fast to tell you all that information straight away. Like some people might process it, but some may not. So that's why everyone's mindset is different, which is a good thing, because we don't all want the same brain, I don't think.
Yeah.
So what are some ways that people can develop a more positive mindset? Would you say that a lot of a person's mindset is learned behaviors? Is it cultural? Is it environmental? Is it a combination of things of how people develop that mindset?
Oh yeah, definitely. You hit it. It's a combination of all those things that you mentioned, environmental, culturally, growing up, um, just morals and values and things that were instilled upon us as kids. And so those all initially, to me, form our initial kind of mindset on things. But then as we grow and we journey through life, then oftentimes those beliefs that we had and core values and things, life kind of has a way of challenging those to see like, okay, does that need to be adjusted a bit, or is that pretty solid?
Yeah.
And so as we go through life's way of testing and pulling and stretching us and whatnot, then we start to see, okay, this mindset, this belief, yeah, I need to touch up on that a bit. Or, maybe a certain mindset serves you for a certain time in your life, but now you've grown, right? And so your mindset has to grow
Yes.
too. So I just think it's a combination of what you said, and then life just pulling and stretching as everybody is always growing and becoming every single day. Like none of us have arrived. We're all learning. And so I think that's a thing too, being willing to learn. Sometimes we don't want to really understand who we are as a person. We're just going and doing, but we don't spend enough time with ourselves because some people just don't like sitting with themselves.
That's true.
To really be able to take an honest inventory of what our deficits are, so to say, our areas of opportunity, some spots where we can really grow and expand and advance in. Some of us don't want to do that honest work because then that means I got to face the person in the mirror.
That's true. That's
so
true.
If I just want to send my representative every day, then that's what I'm going to do. But that's not necessarily your authentic person.
Demetria, you mentioned that you are a licensed professional counselor, right?
Yes.
So I know that you encounter clients in situations where there needs to be a mindset shift. There's been, issues or concerns or challenges presented, and that's the main thing is, okay, here's a point where a different point of view, a different worldview can be introduced. Do you find that to be challenging with your clients, or do people usually embrace that space of learning and changing the mindset?
It varies. That's a really good question too, because that varies. It really varies upon the client. Some I have, and they willingly embrace that and are able to easily kind of implement it and see the fruits of that after they've implemented it very quickly after. So I've had other clients where that is a bit more challenging. And I understand that because essentially when someone introduces a different perspective, a different mindset, a different view, they're asking you to kind of uproot and pluck up your old one that you've held on for many of years.
Yes.
So change isn't always, something that we want to do. And I understand that I am asking you to change something that you've kind of held close to chest. And so sometimes we have to keep going around that thing and around that thing and around that thing. But each time we go around, we're able to peel back one more layer that they're able to have awareness about that they didn't have before, and be able to correlate that to whether or not that's serving you. Oftentimes we hold on to mindsets that aren't serving us.
That's right. That is right. While you were talking, I was just thinking, you know how we say every now and then, so how's that working for you? It's those things that we do over and over because that's that learned behavior. That's what we've always done. I'm stuck in my ways. I'm not changing. But you're not necessarily getting a new result. You're not moving forward. You're not, there's no shift. There's no progression, forward is forward, but we rocking somewhere in the middle. but yeah, that's what it makes me think of, are the situations where people's reply might be, or a client's reply might be, I've always done it this way. I'm stuck in my ways. And sometimes I might have to reply, if you don't believe that change can happen, it's not going to happen. You're not creating space to allow new ideas to come in, new perspectives, It's a development of new habits. Some people say you can reverse old habits. I don't know that I believe that. I believe that you can learn new habits, because with as much as it takes to develop a habit, it takes that much more work to develop a brand new habit, So it's one of those things that I can see why you would say it varies. It does vary on the person's mindset and how open they would be, or if there's that limiting belief, because sometimes we put that on ourselves, where there's a limit, there's a cap, and we have not pushed past that barrier.
Yeah. Like you say, it does depend on the person, because some people like change, some people like to keep the routine the same. So like you say,
That's
but
true.
in some circumstances, like if you think of a mindset around the world, that does need to change. Like certain things happening in the world, that needs to change. Like if you're looking at on a personal goals, like you could have goals kind of linking with your mindset sometimes, where like I want to change the way I do that, or like you could have, your mindset may think, I want to get up really early tomorrow, like to change that time and to change that your mindset in a good way. So like it is complicated, like to talk about, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but it's like we all at some point have to look at that, because I was taking in everything that you all were saying, and it made me think of people who want to go in business, that are entrepreneurs, and maybe those who work in corporate America, in any space and place where you make money. At some point, we start to think like, okay, well, if I make this salary, but I want to make that salary, I'm going to have to do something different.
Oh, yeah.
What it takes, the mindset that it takes to earn 5 figures, you're going to have a different one to earn 6 or 7 or 8. All right. Because that mindset would only carry you so far. I can't take my 5-figure mindset into my 6-figure.
Wow.
It won't serve me as well as if it would if I just shifted.
Yeah. Yes. I was listening in on oh goodness, it was some type of a live discussion specifically for mental health professionals and entrepreneurs. And there was a comment made that while we're changing the mindset, we've got to change our body, our heart, all of these other things of behaviors that follow. And so when the discussion came to an end, the person said, we just need a full set. The mind, the body, the heart, the soul. It has to be a full-on shift. I think about when my oldest son was in karate, and they would go in and the sensei would say, focus your mind, focus your body. It was one thing just to be present, but your body had to be in line. You had to stop moving. You had to stop shifting. You had to be totally focused from head to toe, ready, prepared, on point for the next move, So I use that sometimes, is that, I don't want you just to focus your mind. I want you to focus your body. I want you to be present, all of you to be present when it comes to change, because as there are stages, and if it were difficult, then, things would just be happening like that. And I laughed a little bit earlier because I said, "Oh, she's talking to me about that money shift." I can't take my 5-figure mindset and I want 7 figures. That's why I was like, me.
Yeah, you are right, because like taking your body, because like if someone like annoys you, for example, in your mind, if it's really something you really don't like, are you gonna say something, or are you just keep it to yourself? Like, are you gonna act on that, or if it is it worth it, or is it worth it? So like your mind, it kind of just talks to you, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that leads back to how you brought up Chris Rock and Will Smith. Focus your mind, focus your body. There comes that, mindset. And then even from a mental health perspective, emotion regulation. You got to be able, to keep that in check, keep that under control. And the reality is that people have to be taught how to regulate their emotions, because, here's that mindset. You might think, oh, I'm angry, oh, I'm mad, but what are the feelings that come before that? Are you hurt? Are you embarrassed? Did you feel left out? Are you confused? What is it? What are the feelings? What's the mindset about what's happening around you in your world? What stage or what place are you in, so that you're able to regulate and say, okay, maybe physical violence is not choice number one. What else can I do? It might not be deep breathing, it might be something else, but there has to be something else present to ground you, so that you can better manage your body. We just can't go around slapping folks.
Yeah, I agree, and when both of us have watched that clip over and over again, and
I know.
And like you look at it and you think, like, because it got on, like, because my mindset is kind of processing what Chris Rock means and how he coming across, because to like saying about an illness, although it's not meant that way, because Chris Rock's a comedian, but Will, and then the thing is, you see Will Smith laughing before he actually does that. He's going ahead, and then I think his wife was quiet, and then he goes and acts, but knowing that there were going to be consequences, they weren't going to let him off the hook. He wasn't just going to collect his Oscar award, say his speech, and it all finish like that, because it's very hard, isn't it, like, to understand the whole process of what happened.
Yeah, and I just want to unpack it just a little bit more, in a sense that there were, I'm sure, a lot of feelings and emotions and all kinds of things. I can only imagine how the energy in the room was. And speaking on that emotional regulation, it's like, okay, yeah, we have the Smiths over here, and we know that their family has been very public about a lot of things. Okay.
Yes.
And now we have this situation that happens at the Oscars, and Will doing what he did, but also having to think about Chris Rock in that as well,
Yes.
because he had a history of being bullied and beat up.
Yes.
So even though Will at the time had this loss of control, we'll call it that, and does this act, it's like, okay, when he looks back on it, he probably is like, man, I probably didn't intend to do that. However, you may not intend to do something, but you always have an impact.
Absolutely.
So now the world has been impacted by your act. And that's with us as well. Like, we are impacted, and the people connected to us are impacted by what we do. And what we do is governed by our mindset. So Yeah, that's why we just have to really take inventory.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, we do. And like, yeah, like you say, it's all right for him to be not happy about it. Like, he could have always anything. He could have even still gone up there and said to him, like I know he was even swearing or like Oscars as well. So, um, it's not the nicest way you could approach it. What Chris Rock was doing, because Chris Rock is thinking to himself that I'm like you say, like the Smiths are there, like to have a little joke, because that's what you sometimes do at like awards events, don't you? Like you have a little joke in there and then, but he did maybe take it too far on their behalf. But there was so many ways you could like stop that, um without violence, because like violence, as many people know, will make a situation a lot worse. And luckily, from what happened, Chris Rock was quite professional about it. He didn't act on it to make the situation even worse. So on his part, although for some it was not nice to them what he was saying, but he was quite professional on how it was handled after he actually punched him.
You know, I shared, and I want to talk a little bit about Chris Rock. So when I saw how he reacted, I thought about this article that was out, and I actually shared it because it talked about Chris Rock participating in therapy X amount of days a week and all of these things. And within myself, as a professional counselor, I clapped my hands. I said, that's what therapy will do for you. Because he contained himself. He could have reacted in so many different ways, but he carried on like Mason, like you said. He was professional about it. He did what he was supposed to do, which was host and tell jokes. Right? So he kept going, and I thought, oh my goodness. And again, like we're talking about mindset, that was my thought, like, man, because I thought maybe he leaned forward a little bit as if Will was going to say something in his ear. Some people say, oh, he looked like he braced himself. But, you know, you see someone walking towards you and it might be a setting where there needs to be a whisper. I thought maybe he leaned forward as if Will was going to whisper in his ear, and then he got, you know. But I just thought about some of the things that I had read previously about Chris and his history and just mental health services. And I thought, he put those skills into place. And that's what it takes, is when you're practicing them, when nothing is going wrong, when there's not an obstacle, boom, you're able to utilize them a little bit better when things come your way. So I was like, yes, for therapy.
Yeah. And like, you don't know how their relationship was beforehand. Like,
That's true.
What were they, good mates? Like you said, if you lean him forward, he's maybe thinking he's gonna have a word with him, or like, I think most of the people in the audience at that time was thinking, why is Will going up there? He was laughing 5 seconds ago, and then he's up there, and kind of from most people mindsets probably think that Will's wife wasn't very happy about it. Will looks across maybe, and then goes and acts, and like it. Like, we don't know if anyone told him to do it, but even if they did, it's his fault. It's his own mindset that's even in life, people may tell you to do things, doesn't mean you have to do them. Like, you have your own mind, you have your own rules. Unfortunately, our minds don't speak to each other, so we don't know. Yeah.
So true.
So, Demetria, do you have anything that you would suggest or anything you want to point out to viewers and listeners with regard to mindset and a more positive outlook or a shift in general?
So I would point out, kind of as I've weaved in through this conversation that we've been having, is take an honest inventory. Write down all the major buckets, so to say, areas of your life, and really take an honest inventory of those areas. Then I would ask for each viewer or listener to write down all of your core values and rank them. And you'll start to see, like, okay, am I kind of aligning where I want to be, or are some things not the priority that I felt as though were the priority? What are my thoughts, feelings, and actions saying about these areas that I've taken this honest inventory in? And then after you've done that inventory, you need to have a serious conversation with yourself and decide whether or not you're committed to change those areas or not. Because that's up to you, and that's a decision that only you can make. And so then if you decide, hey, I want to do something about certain areas, start doing a deep dive into what may be around you that you can start plugging yourself in, so that you can get more knowledge, understanding, clarity, experience in what kind of communities you can plug in. I love community because we all need community, even if you're just meeting virtually once a month, talking with someone on the phone or whatnot. But being connected allows us to not only have another person that you're able to get additional perspective of, but everybody is connected to somebody who's connected to somebody who's connected to somebody, right? And we all know of different resources. For those who like to read, there are a plethora of mindset books. I know one book that I recently added to my collection is Atomic Habits. And it's really building those healthy habits, because as we shift, that means that you are learning new habits. So as we learn new habits, we need to learn new ways to implement the new habits.
The new habits, that's right.
The new habits, yeah. And I deal with a lot of clients who are Christians or are in ministry. And so a good book kind of there, and funny too, because she's a comedian, Yvonne Orji. She was on Insecure. She has a book, Bamboozled by Jesus, and she talks about her mindset about when she was first starting out and how she didn't have any money. She was wondering, how was she ever going to break into the profession that she wanted to do into where she is now? So inventory, make a decision whether you're going to commit to that. Once you are put legs to that, do that action, and then start plugging yourself into community or books, podcasts, other subject matter experts, so to say, in those fields, so that you can start expanding your knowledge base. And you'd be surprised how much you'll grow if you commit that time to yourself to develop your mindset, because it's not something that you're like, oh my gosh, I got to study on my mindset for 24 hours. Like, no, even if you took 10-15 minutes a day, that adds up. So that would be my tips and tricks to that.
Yeah,
that's very helpful, absolutely. And oh my goodness, prioritizing, all of those are important. It takes them all as a plan, and being able to prioritize helps cut out some of that. Okay, what is immediate, and then what can wait now? What is it I can control? What is it that's just out of my control? So that's awesome. That's awesome. I love those tips. And I've heard of that book. I think I've seen her ads pop up also. So I'm gonna have to look into that.
It's a good one. I've read it. It's a good one because she incorporates her story along with for those that are Christian followers. She incorporates some Bible stories because I love it because she retells them her own way. So they're very comedic as she retells them, to really drive home the principle of some of these things and some of the foundational things that she had to implement to shift her mindset to where she is.
Yeah. Demetria, like with mindset and mental health, why is it something that you're quite passionate about speaking about?
Oh, that's really good. I'm gonna tell you. Whoo, because I had to, yeah, whoo, clutch my pearls. Because that was definitely an area that I had to grow in, and I had to be in the trenches with myself at times when I did not want to be in the trench. Child, if I could have left Demetria in the trench, I probably would have. I'd be like, girl, I am so sorry for you. I hope you work that out. But I'm gonna be on to my best life now. But since everywhere you go, there you are, I had to deal with that person. I had to sit with that person. I had to eat with that person. I had to look at them bills with that person. And so with that, I had to make a commitment to myself that, oh my goodness, I'm not going to do this anymore. There are some things that need to shift. And I know that as I grow and as I become, I'm going to pass that on, because essentially other people help me to get to where I am. And so I definitely want to pass those nuggets on, because somebody else needs to be free of that too. It's too many people in the world that are living in lack in some regard. And that is just not the way to live when there's so much abundance around us. And sometimes we are just imprisoned in our mind because of beliefs and other things that are not serving us. And so if I can help someone to shift so that they can then be in a position to prosper, that's what I'm here to do.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's so, oh my goodness, it's so important when we can recognize that it's our own story that fuels us and propels us forward. And once we go through those changes and as you said, having to have that conversation with yourself and say, look, we're moving forward with or without you. You know, some mornings having to nudge and pick that inner child up and say, come on, you okay? You safe today? We're moving forward.
Right. We got somewhere to be. Like, we got
That's
destiny
right.
waiting on us. Everybody has destiny waiting on them. And oh my goodness, like, when I go, and I don't plan on going no time soon, but it's like, I want to have lived the absolute best life that I could have possibly lived. And I can't do that holding on to things that do not serve me.
Yeah, I completely agree, and especially what you said about in some form someone's good at a lack about something, like with something, and I agree, because like, well, whenever you speak something you're passionate about, you want to raise awareness of, there's always going to be someone all the time. There's like there's always going to be someone who doesn't know what you're talking about, and you might have to repeat yourself quite a lot of the time. But if you repeat yourself more, even if it's just one person, they don't get it. You repeat it themselves more, they get stuck in their head. It's like learning about things as well, which like you're teaching them and that. So yeah, I agree. And like the more people that do that, the more people learn and know about different things. So I think it's mindset isn't kind of speaking enough. I think, because like we all have one, but it's not also spoken about as much as it should.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Demetria, tell us how the listeners and viewers can connect with you after this.
Connect with me on Facebook on my business page, Gracefully Lead Counseling and Consulting LLC. So I'm on Facebook, or feel free to email me directly, demetria@gracefullyleading.com. Either way, I am always on there posting something, whether it's life hacks or just an encouraging word, or I like to go Facebook Live and just give it live right then, and interact with supporters, listeners, through the comments, because like I said, we all need community. And if I can be a part of someone's community to help them along their journey by them just listening to something that I have posted, reading something that I have posted, then by all means feel free to connect with me. And I will say I'm trying to move into the world of TikTok. I haven't accomplished that yet, but I'm working on it.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
So if any listeners out there know how to work TikTok, please link up with me.
Speaking of TikTok, TikTok is quite fun. It is quite fun to use, like depending on what you want to do with it. Like you can do videos about mindset, anything really. I think the shorter videos work better, like more people see it and stuff. But I think they've just announced you can do a 10-minute video now, so
I didn't know that.
like it was normally 1 minute to under 1 minute, but they've made new things TikTok have now. But and yeah, they even have stories, like you do on Facebook, Instagram, and I think they all relate from each other, don't they? All these social media accounts, pages.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
But yeah,
even more reason why I need to be on TikTok now.
yeah, yeah. It is fun. Yeah, it's a fun place to be. You might get addicted though.
Yeah, they've got me on the scroll. They've got me.
Like if I'm on it, I just say I'll be on it for 5 minutes, and an hour's gone by. Yeah. So, ladies, is there anything else that any of you want to add before we kind of finish?
I would just say, just ask some parting words to everyone that is going to watch this, hear this, to be encouraged that just because you are where you are today doesn't mean that that is your forever. And so every day that you get up, you have another opportunity to do that day better than you did yesterday. So seize the day.
I love that. Love that. Go and follow Demetria on Facebook. I really like the, I call it the impromptu gems. She always shares things that are very impactful, and it is full of life application. It's things that you can use from day to day, with whether it's self-evaluation, whether it relates to mindset, personal development. Go follow this lady. She's doing awesome things.
Yeah. So, like, if you want to reach out with Demetria, you know where to go. I think. But yeah, I've really enjoyed today because about mindset and talking about relevant life events that's happened as well, which really kicks into your mindset as well. And in a way, like it's good that we all have different mindsets as well. So thanks guys, because it's been I love talking to you both today, and meeting you as well, Demetria, because hopefully we'll see you again, and we could do something like this again with you as well.
Yes, thank you again, Angela Mason. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So to everyone listening and watching, we hope you've enjoyed today's episode of Mental Health Awakening, and we will see you next time. So thanks guys.